A beautiful way to start the day, and what we all hope is going to be a competitive and intense series between G2 and Rogue. Rogue surprising everyone yesterday, and we'll see now if they can keep that momentum going as they face their toughest opponent yet, G2 Esports. I'm Drakos, joined by Vedius and Caedrel. What an honor it is to be here in front of all of you in Malmo and all of you at home as well.
Oh, I was getting a little emotional. The crowd was absolutely insane. The energy is incredible here.
It's ecstatic.
Everyone is looking forward to what will be an amazing final. It is fantastic to be here live in venue once again. The passion for esports that we have here, it's just incredible. And after what we saw yesterday, I'm hoping that we get to see this same fire from Rogue. Last time these two teams met, it was domination from the reigning champions of the LEC G2. But Rogue, they're looking to bounce back in the rematch today.
The ambience is just electrifying. They're going to feel every single play they do, every decision, every turn, every fight. They're going to feel it from the crowd. The whole stage is going to start vibrating. So nerves might be there in the first game, but once they're shaken off, both these teams will be unleashed.
I mean, two incredibly explosive teams, and we've seen from G2 the variability that they showed against Rogue. We know Rogue have to have something special cooked up for this matchup. They've done it once before. They fell flat last time, but here after the match versus Fnatic, you can't help but have more faith in this team to turn things around, to rise up today against the competition. As we get closer to picks and bans, we can start to talk more about the specifics. Senna Seraphine, we know it was a problem. It was something Rogue were not ready for, despite being the people who brought it out first in the LEC. Have to see how they adapt to those champions in this best of 5.
A lot of champions we have to keep our mind on. Sylas was banned away yesterday. Senna Seraphine, something that dismantled Rogue in their last series. You think of the bot lane picks like Draven and Kalista, how aggressive these bot lanes want to get. I feel like G2 has a wider pool to choose from, but Rogue have found ways to target teams with bigger pools and make them play their own game. We saw it against Fnatic with the mage meta yesterday.
Well, we won't have to wait long to get an answer to some of these questions, because that sound means that we get ever closer to draft. So without further ado, let's jump into our first draft.
While there are smiles on the faces on both sides, you know the tension is building. Drafts decide so much. Adaptation, week of practice leading into this. So much can succeed or fall flat and decide the rest of the series. For now, Lucian being taken off the board, mirroring the bans we saw in their previous series. Sylas also being taken away. Rogue perhaps looking again to make a control mage versus control mage in the mid lane.
G2 already targeting bot lane. We can see Lucian, Zeri taken away. Of course, Comp was playing those two champs yesterday, and Rogue again seem to have no answer for the Sylas, so they're going to keep it banned away in this series. Targeting Caps again, going to take away the Azir. We saw him bring out the counter pick of Varus into it, so maybe Rogue just want to remove this from the series to make sure it's not a liability.
Kalista, Draven, Poppy. This is something that G2 have consistently banned throughout the playoffs, and they're going to continue to do so.
It is an interesting position now. G2 banning away the Senna, Kalista and Draven both open.
Word.
I feel like you have to take the Kalista. The comp Draven we know that he's played it in solo queue.
It's the Draven, surely, for G2. We know that Flakked played it. He played it in Game 3 against Rogue the last time that they met up.
It's the Jarvan that G2 are going to take away from Rogue. So they're telling Rogue, you can choose your AD, and the Kalista is a more mobile champ that can escape the Jarvan, or the Draven will be a sitting duck, but that opens up Trundle for Malrang.
Well, the other thing is, they could just lock the Sejuani now if they wanted to, but as well, the problem with going for Kalista here, this is a test. G2 is calling Rogue out, and they're saying, we don't think you play Draven. And look, Rogue is saying, you're right, we're instead going to focus our attention on the Kalista. We know it's a comfort pick for comp, but you have to imagine that the Draven is now going to come out for G2.
Kalista already locked in. We've seen what this champ can do. Trundle as well. This is what we expected Rogue to play already in draft. I think Dylan's probably saying, guys, level 1 invades. We need to be careful of split map bots, but G2 must have set this trap up. What's their response? It's going to be Draven versus Kalista. It's going to be Jarvan versus Trundle. I think we're in for a very bloody game in this game 1.
And for Flakked, the first time hearing the roar of this crowd, as he locks in Draven, it seems picture perfect. G2 debating what the option will be, playing with our hearts a little bit to be certain.
Another champ to keep your mind on is Renata. Is that something Rogue want to pick up on 3 here? Caps teasing us with his plethora of mid lane pool champs that he could bust out, but it's going to be the Ahri, a mobile champ, of course, works well with the Jarvan and gap closing in his engages, and works well into the Trundle in terms of getting out of the pillar.
So now the pressure is on Larssen, though. Is he going to lock in a mid lane, make sure that he can get a comfortable matchup? We did see his Orianna yesterday, but remember that Renata is a very powerful support that often pairs alongside the Kalista. A lot of hovers coming through from Larssen right now. Will they choose to lock in support to make sure they have that strong bot side of the map, or will they instead... Oh, they're going to ban out some of the counters.
Yeah, they're going to ban... Rogue will ban Yone and Aatrox here. They have no real choice. They're playing double melee top jungle. I think these are inevitable bans here. And G2 can now target the mid pool if they want, or the support pool. Things like the Renata could be taken away, but Rogue are pretty much locked now.
Have to see then how deep Larssen's champion pool goes. Seemingly comfortable to play just about any control mage yesterday. Will that be what he prioritizes once again, as G2 will surely thin the options somewhere. Looking again to the Renata to see if she can make it through the next pick phase. And if the Yone will be banned as well, Braum, a champion we haven't seen a ton, obviously has a strong interaction into the Ornn. And the Kalista could hit the bench here as well.
I really wonder what Larssen's going to pick into Ahri. Akali, a good ban. They need to ban mid laners that aren't very mobile, because Jarvan Ahri will gap close on a mage so easily that Larssen will be under constant threat and will need so many resources in terms of hover so he can push out waves. So Rogue need to dig deep and find a mobile champ like LeBlanc or something along those lines that does well into these two champions. But when I think of LeBlanc, I don't really think of Larssen.
As predicted, Caedrel, both the top lane options within the Ornn taken off the board. See what else BrokenBlade wants to bring to the table.
I think Gwen is just going to be the easy option here for BrokenBlade on 4-5. Those are the three carries that he leans into when it comes to the Ornn. So they need to find a good support champ. Rogue here, the smartest thing, pick mid, counter pick support, but do you give over Renata is the question.
Debating. Crowd alive with energy. Teams focused.
He's gone for it.
He hovered it, he teased us with it earlier yesterday. We saw it was all about control mages for Larssen. Putting a lot of burden onto his shoulders to go toe-to-toe with Caps in such an intensive matchup.
He does have experience on the champion. The question is, does he have enough experience to take down Caps in form? This is his home ground. This is the environment that he loves to play in. An arena full of people supporting him on a champion that he has individual agency on. Caps will be on Ahri, BrokenBlade will be on the Gwen.
If G2 wants something to lock down LeBlanc here, it has to be Nautilus, but is Nautilus blinds really good up against things like Trundle? That's the question. We could see something like Kalista Braum into it, so it's a very dangerous pick to go for. They have a lot of front lines, so hooking in, you're as good as dead, but it does lock down the LeBlanc. The Yuumi still up if they want to go for that. We've seen things like the Soraka, but with Kalista, it won't work so well. They're going to take away that Renata. Now, does Rogue go for the Nautilus? Does Rogue pick the engaged support? Sion Hover shouts out the Baus.
Looking through the options, I think the Baus is in the house tonight.
He is indeed.
Maybe catch him on a camera here. Blitzcrank obviously hype. Trymbi's hovered it a lot of times, folks. We're all getting a bit baited, I imagine.
A hook champ is good here, though.
Certainly. Taric I like as well.
But they're going to go for the Soraka. Soraka Kalista bot lane. This is not a duo that you expect to see, but they had so much success with it yesterday. The sustain that the champion gives is now going to be making its way once again onto the Rift. Rogue, semblances of what we saw yesterday with things like the Ornn, like the Soraka, those strong scaling teamfight tools, but this mid lane champion, LeBlanc for Larssen, we have not seen a lot of this from him, but a lot of responsibility is going to fall on his shoulders to find an edge in this mid lane match.
We even saw yesterday, Sylas versus Ahri, these skill matchups. Larssen got solo killed, so he needs to be on his A game on this champ.
On top of that, the Jarvan and the Ahri together, the recipe for success for G2 to make their miraculous run in spring, to be back at the top of the LEC, to be the reigning champions, and it's the matchup they're going to use in mid jungle to kick off our first game in the LEC finals. Tension for both these teams.
A lot of question marks. How's the mid matchup going to go? How's the bottom matchup going to go? Can Odoamne withstand the pressure of BrokenBlade's Gwen, winning lanes on either side? But it's going to be a very bloody game.
And again, both these teams eager to draw first blood. We know what momentum can mean. Momentum in the face of such an incredible crowd. To hear them cheering, to hear them rally behind you. Malma, are you ready for game one? Let's get into it.
We are on to the Rift for Game 1. The LEC Finals. 10 years of LEC, our 20th split. G2 have quite the legacy. Yes, I said it. And Caps, his appearance in finals is something that many European teams fear. Of the 7 finals that Caps has been in, he has won every single one of them domestically. This man is a monster when it comes to winning titles. He is the epitome of winning when it comes to Europe. And right now, we are in the Cathedral of Caps as the house continues to support G2 Esports.
And look at that win rate in finals, 21 wins, 3 losses. Rogue yet to find a singular win against G2. They got 3-0'd last time. Targamas there just covering the level 1 invade. There's a ward from Flakked in case any level 1 shenanigans come down. That ward right there, just in the middle of the river, covering if Jankos does red, EQs over the wall into the Dragon Pit and looks for blue. Early trading in mid already. TP versus TP, electrocute versus electrocute.
Larssen also getting that experience means that he will get level 2 first. Let's see if he can look to leverage that here in the 1v1 matchup against Caps.
The interesting thing here, Flakked is very late to lane. If we could look at bot lane here, Flakked has fake leashed bot. He's used mana on his Q. It looks like he's leashed Jankos here, so maybe G2 using that to their advantage, because Rogue's communication here, their bot lane will say, yeah, Draven leashed, Jarvan started bot side, Malrang could get caught off guard. We'll track it for now.
And early jungle tracking is going to be so incredibly crucial here. If Jankos shows up against an unsuspecting Rogue, an early gank can shift the tides of this game so incredibly quickly, especially when we look at the spot lane matchup. We know how explosive this can be. If either side gets a lead, the entire game can fall apart so incredibly quickly. For now, though, Comp and Trymbi holding strong here. Both sides just fighting for an early level 2 as quickly as they can.
Keep eyes on the junglers right now. You can see Malrang doing a topside clear into bot. Jankos doing a full topside clear. Has just hit level 3. What is he going to look for here? Just a bit of information to cover for Caps. Wary of any early ganks, but also to get information on if Malrang decides to go for the top scuttle. We can see in terms of push, BrokenBlade will have to push in the top lane matchup. Has 2 wards covering the river, meaning he should be well protected. We see mid lane with the push in favor of Rogue. Bot lane in the same situation. Larssen with a slight level advantage. Let's see what Malrang can do off the back of this. For the time being, it doesn't look like we're going to see any early aggression, but I got to hold my tongue here because he's making his way into the bot lane rush.
The ward expired around 10 seconds ago, so Malrang won't be spotted.
He's going to drop another ward for his bot lane, though. The timing here is perfect for Malrang. He's making his way up towards Jankos' Raptor Caps.
Doesn't look like he spotted Jankos yet, so for now, the early information that Flakked secured by coming to lane late remains in favor of G2. Maybe Jankos can get something done before they spot him out.
So that topside ward on mid was to cover Caps, yes, but it was also to cover if Malrang ran into topside river from his Raptors. Then he would know Jankos what crab he's on, so he can trade easily on the opposite side. He'll pick up this top crab very happily, won't get double crab. He's around the top side to look for an early top dive, but I don't think Odoamne is low enough. There's not a wave to play on. It's bouncing for now, it looks like, so maybe they can look for some kind of pressure, but Odo should be just fine. He has the mobility, and G2, their lockdown's quite difficult to pull off.
Jankos once again looking for a bit of information. As his eyes set on the top lane, not an easy lane to gank. Level 4 for Odoamne. Well, there's a lot of vision here. Observers, thank you very much highlighting it for us. They have spotted out Malrang. Jankos looking for an opportunity to potentially punish here.
He's not here for the gank, he's here for the counter. He knows the dive on the Ornn is too hard, but if they catch Trundle, Scryer's Bloom, giving away an entire plan.
Focus from both these teams right now. They're so aware, their vision is on point. Both teams completely locked in here in the early game. Targamas.
Trymbi, slow.
Good bit of kill here.
Going down, the silence could come out. The handshake is so crucial, but Targamas has to flash out to safety. Early advantage for Rogue.
I think they were scared as to Draven's position that a heal could come through. Now, I can't be sure. Maybe they just decided to back off anyway and they didn't have the gap codes, but it looked like they could have had a kill there. Good stun from Targamas. His BrokenBlade's under a little bit of pressure for a gank, but nothing will happen here. Malrang's just trying to cover the push out, but you can see how tense and important information is in the game, whereas both junglers don't know where each other are. It's a bit tricky when it comes to pushing out lanes and covering.
Small advantages being gained across the board here for Rogue. You can see in the top lane, small lead for Odo, and the bot lane, small lead for Comp and Trymbi. In terms of the 2v2, this is really not what I was expecting. We've been told the Draven lane is one of the most dominant. Of course, Flakked did go for that early base, going to pick up this ward and will ward wave And we'll look to close that CS gap just a bit.
And we talk about CS gap, we talk about G2. Most of their lanes have CS differences when it comes to the early stages of the game. They accrue leads through lane, but we're sitting in a game right now with a 500 gold lead over to Rogue from lanes on their own.
Nice combo there.
Odo,
No mana left, gets a good combo, like you said, Vedius, onto BrokenBlade. Both these top laners yet to TP back. BrokenBlade low on health, Odoamne low on mana.
moving away. Gwen immune.
Oh, hang on!
One more Odo. The ghost now ticking out. Odoamne has to run.
Whew. Odoamne nearly getting a solo kill onto BrokenBlade. Both top laners now wary of junglers, but BrokenBlade forced to, ghost away.
And it was Odoamne who solo killed Wunder yesterday on the gangplank. The counter pick into his ore, and great sidestep from Larssen there. Both these solo laners fighting quite hard against G2 and winning out on the trades, winning out on the summoner events, just pushing their lanes back.
And this is so important for Rogue. We heard it on the desk. G2's not a team that needs to dominate in the early game to come out on top. So for Rogue to start to build these advantages early game, to potentially shut down what could be a very explosive G2 mid game is crucial. Level 6 getting closer and closer for the Jarvan. We have to assume that that's when G2 can start to look to make these plays, start to contest some of these objectives. But for now, Rogue in complete control.
Bot lane crab now to be contested. Jankos does, of course, have an ever so slight level advantage, but Malrang doesn't care. His mid laner will be able to rotate first. Level 6 for Larssen, level 6 for Caps. Keep my eyes on the mid lane movement. So crucial when it comes to these jungle fights.
So yesterday when we saw Malrang on the Trundle, he went for a full supportive build. He went full tank and he was Frozen Fist into Redemption and these kind of Force of Nature builds. Now he's got a Sheen, so he's going to go for the Sunderer on the early build, thinking that maybe he wants a bit more damage with the Ornn by his side, a little bit more contested fight against the Jarvan to push Jankos back a bit so that the 3v3s can go in their favor.
Credit to Malrang, incredibly adaptable in terms of how he builds just about any single champion. We've seen lethal tempo, we've seen on the Jarvan, we've seen a lot of creative things come out from him, and I like that he's willing to adjust his build to accommodate his role in the team. Is he someone that needs to provide the slow of the Iceborne? Is he someone that needs to provide the damage of the Divine Sunderer? A guy who is super flexible and making sure that he can provide a lot to Rogue, but surprisingly, even with a Trundle and a Jarvan in the game, it's been incredibly quiet here early on.
Yeah, and I think it's important to look back to the last time that they played, because it was fairly even until it wasn't. And I think the reality of the situation was that G2, as the series went on, was slowly building more and more momentum. And while there were windows where it looked a little bit close, you can see how dominant G2 was the last time that they 3-0'd Rogue.
Yeah, G2 are so strong when it comes to when one thing goes wrong or one mistake finds itself for Rogue, they punish it so hard. You think back to their best of 5 against him, Larssen dies on a mid wave, and all of a sudden G2 have got 3 towers out of nowhere. So these kills can blow open the map. Rogue needs to be careful not to make any mistakes. For now, it looks like they're sitting pretty comfortable. 500-600 gold lead, lanes are stable, tracking jungle, but now it's when it becomes a bit dangerous, more so for Trymbi. Soraka into Jarvan. Needs to be very careful as to where Jankos is positioned. The auto fighting back here. No ghost on BrokenBlade.
Malrang hasn't been spotted yet.
Hovering in the area, how much can they commit here? Fourth play.
Long cooldown. Caps is moving around the map right now. I'm always wary of whenever he disappears, and that's one of the scary things about champions like Ahri and Blanc. Even just moving into the fog of war can put a lot of threat onto the map. The bot lane, though, feeling very comfortable for Rogue right now. They have good vision, they have the push. And Malrang now looking for a gank top.
Pillar coming out. BrokenBlade already dashed away, but Odoamne leaping into the pillar. Ulti now coming out to follow. Gwen immune, gonna block so much of any potential damage. Malrang just going under the tower. Absolute pillar. What? Odoamne from downtown with the pillar.
Jankos is here though, Caps is on the way. Malrang no flash. Larssen is trying to match as quick as possible. Does Jankos take this fight?
There's no play here. Larssen off to the side fighting Caps. Jankos potentially caught out here now. Malrang moves forward. How much longer on the pillar? Will not get anything else. Herald aggro. Nothing for G2 to get in return.
And this is pivotal for bot lane as well, because they're in isolation. Comp can keep punishing this lane with the sustain. They've already got themselves one plate, 400 gold lead to Comp, 500 gold lead to Trymbi right now. Bot lane going in Rogue's favor, top side winning. The problem that Rogue have though is because they invested so many resources to kill BrokenBlade, and they were so low HP that Caps can push out mid. BrokenBlade can run back towards the top side. They have more tempo in this top side of the map so that they will be able to get this Herald despite losing the fight.
The pinks right now coming down onto the Drake. Rogue recognize this, and they're looking to get a cross map off. Resets have come through from Comp and Trymbi. But a good awareness there from G2. But let's look back at this gank in the top lane.
So Malrang actually confident enough to solo kill the Gwen, practically, because Odoamne is not a part of this fight. The W comes through for all of the ultimate. He just missed one tick of damage, and it was this Q right here that Odoamne sniped on a max range. Really, really good limitation from Malrang to know how much damage he can deal.
Slash or top
Calculated.
Calculated. There's a lot of things you could all chat in that exact moment. But credit to Odoamne. Malrang playing incredibly well around him, and Odo in general. We saw the Renekton pretty lackluster in the first series against G2, but today with the Ornn, and certainly yesterday with Renekton against Fnatic, he has been playing like a man unleashed. We heard from him in his post-game interview. Rogue, all of their issues seeming to melt away as they came into Malmo. Focused and playing together again well as a team, and you can see it here in this early game. 10 minutes in, Infernal down, 1.5k gold lead. Rogue looking confident here in game one.
Indeed. Malrang going to path back up towards his top side. Larssen and Cap's been a bit quiet. They've been trying to roam to both these sides, but they're just both matching each other so quickly that it's hard to find a numbers advantage. But now Jankos is on his one side. He's going to get face checked here by Comp. He's very scared, but Jankos will find his way around here. No TPs for Rogue. But they call the play off. Of course, the benefit Trymbi has with this striker is if Jarvan commits on the striker, Kalista ult, right? You can always pull her out of danger.
True,
so they have two options in terms of things to get out of Jarvan ult. The flash and the Kalista ult.
Oh,
that's the ult.
No flash.
Jankos ulting is going to be a little bit difficult because overall Malrang's a tanky player, but Flakked out of nowhere with the Draven ult to seal the deal. Oh, Malrang not respecting the G2 collapse.
And G2, they find their first kill of the series. A quick punish onto Malrang. He committed that flash in the top lane. Jankos doesn't even use the EQ, just throws the ultimate down. Caps is quick to collapse. Very cleverly, Jankos actually stayed out of range of that sweeper, so he didn't get spotted. Now Larssen goes in for a trade. Likely can't commit anything further. Both ults are down on either side right now.
And gentlemen, that kill is absolutely massive because we take a chance to look at the scoreboard. You can see overall, we went from Kalista pulling ahead in CS very confidently to suddenly Flakked wildly ahead, 800 gold from the cash out from the kill itself. And this is the risk of the Draven. Even if G2 aren't as explosive in the bot lane in the early game, if he ever cashes in, it's hard, but he hasn't spent the money yet. Now Rogue are looking to punish. Rogue are looking to get something done before he can spend all that money so low, but he's just flashing with confidence as he walks away.
How much can Rogue get off of this though? Because Flakked will need to base. Maybe it's in their best interest to run top lane with their bot lane and go out towards Jankos and use this Herald towards the top side that we saw Rogue do yesterday when their bot lane was down in tempo. Trymbi trying to cancel bases. They know that they have the numbers advantage. Comp will farm plates up, so this 800 gold lead that Flakked got is now shrinking away ever so slowly. And we'll see how he moves around the map. Looks like he will come back down towards the spot side, but his tower has taken a huge hit.
I'm just so impressed with the confidence from Flakked there as the Herald gets dropped down in mid. Often we see young players, first time on a big stage like this, they get nervous, they get scared, they often are over safe, but he held his flash all the way to the last minute. The Herald will collide with the tower. Gold injection for G2. They will find themselves a little bit behind in gold, but once again, G2, they're still playing with confidence. They don't find themselves at too much of a deficit. With this kill onto Flakked, he's going to come back into lane with a completed Bloodthirster.
Immortal Shield, though.
Immortal
but I
Shield,
like your enthusiasm. Bloodthirster might be next.
But we can see here, look, Jankos just stays out of the range of the sweeper, tries to avoid getting spotted, then Malrang oversteps, and then he's quick to pounce.
And the Draven ult comes in, does so much damage. Cash in of 643. So big CS, big numbers for Flakked to get his deficit back ahead. Of course, Comp got a few plates after that, so it's slightly evened up a bit, still in Flakked's favor. And now Jankos trying to stop the base of Larssen, doesn't have any kill pressure, manages to land the E. Larssen has TP though, so I think Trymbi will heal him up a tiny bit. He'll catch the wave and TP back. Odoamne still doing quite well on this top side. 10 CS up, almost 1,000 gold lead. Trymbi same. But it looks like the mid-jungle of G2 is slowly coming alive, looking for these plays. And of course, Malrang with this damage build isn't as tanky as he was yesterday, of course, so needs to be careful when it comes to these 2v2s.
Absolutely does, but something we have to keep our eye on as well is just Odoamne's level. The further and further we get into this game, the more crucial Ornn levels become. The ability to upgrade your allies' items is going to be massive for the Kalista and the LeBlanc especially. Incredible value that in the laning phase, when he might suffer against the Gwen normally because of the early successful kill, just pulling very, very far ahead. BrokenBlade, no single item completed yet. 1 or 2 items we know he will dominate in the side lane, but the team fights, so important. We've seen how many games, and G2 games especially, have been all about control around these objectives. Rogue with a lot of tools to fight back.
Now, the dragon spawns in about a minute's time, and because of this early item that has been completed for both Caps and Flakked, Rogue will have to be cautious about whether or not they choose to fight this. Shane goes a little bit wide there for Larssen, but when you look at these item spikes across the board, G2 are hitting them first. The question is, will there be a window for Rogue to be able to pick up that extra bit of gold, go back to base, spend it, and then come back out onto the map? Alternatively, there's a world where G2 can choose not to go for an early Drake and instead cross-map it for a Herald and then break open that top tower. Get a little bit more gold back into BrokenBlade, and maybe look for a cross-map. Caps in a little bit of danger here.
Trouble here is going to be forced to ult out. You can see he's trying to hold on to the ulti as long as possible. Goes down. Caps could have used the ult, could have used the flash, opts to hold both.
very clean execution there. Larssen used his ult chain, I believe it was. I'm not sure if he used two or just one single one. I can only see the purple chain, but that means there's more burst when it comes out. So Malrang can flash forward to the Q, the flash auto Q, and it's just enough burst to stop Caps from being able to escape during the CC chain. Let's not forget Soraka ult in these 2v2s as well will become important. More so for Rogue side. No healing reduction built up just yet. And now with this pick on mid, they're looking for a form.
Trying to keep the tempo up. Flakked shield already proc. Flakked trying to sidestep, trying to get weird with it. Is he still standing?
He's done.
Trying to get the execution. It will not be enough. He will not be bailed out. Rogue will find the kill on the bottom side.
The stacks have disappeared. That's the mid-jungle synergy we wanted to see from Rogue. Bring your mid laner down towards the bot side. They get a pick. They punish it. G2 did the same against them. They're doing the same back a week later.
Of course, we're only 15 minutes into this first game, but expectations were that G2 would look to do exactly the same to Rogue as they did last week. But already in game one, Rogue is looking to play. A 2k gold lead, 15 minutes in. They will concede the Drake, or will they? Malrang hovering in the shadows.
No flash. Jankos has ult. Needs to be careful. He's done this mistake before.
But look at the team. Ornn is on the way.
Can you afford to step in? Malrang ready to get the pin. He's going to get it! They tried to block it, but you can't do it!
The heals!
Here comes the Soraka! And here comes Rogue! Backup is there. Malrang will finally fall. BrokenBlade looking to make the difference. Looking to be the one that counts in this fight. Trying to take him down, but no! Not today, says the Kalista. And back in he goes! What a masterclass in team fighting from Rogue! They are obliterating G2!
G2 are wiped off the map, 16 minutes in, and it's a goddamn ace for Rogue!
The title chase begins and Rogue are off to a sprint. 8 kills, 16 minutes in. They're going to get the bot tier 1. 5 kills in their back pocket, and it all comes off the back of Malrang walking up into 3 people, smiting the dragon in their face, and the ambulance comes in to keep him alive long enough. The Kalista ult saves Trymbi. It all came together.
Malrang walks up, takes the Jarvan ultimate to the face, smites the dragon, refuses to elaborate. Trymbi then shows up and is there to offer the... Oh, look at the silence into the heal. Larssen with the perfect timing as well. Odoamne with the ultimate. Just a beautiful team fight from Rogue.
And this is where G2, with Jankos getting the bailout, they think, let's go on to Trymbi. This is our target. We have to kill the Soraka. Look at Comp's positioning. Just gets the range to pull him out. Trymbi, the
and here it comes.
Then goes in for the triple knock-up on Soraka. Lands the Q, pops the silence down. Jankos falls. And now we're facing an early game where Rogue with the Ornn, with the Soraka, are ahead in the early stages, and they've matched the Dragons. You can see Trymbi.
He's full of energy. In the interview, he was quiet, he was reserved, but now as he finds advantage, he turns to Malmo, and he asks if they want more. Rogue onto the Herald. Odoamne, 3.5k damage in the fight. That is one OP Ornn. Level 12 now coming out, 13 just around the corner. Upgrades just around the corner. Rogue's advantage will only continue to grow. G2 reeling from that one, need to find their footing if they want to come back into this game.
My man did 3k damage on Ornn on a team fight. He's just solo carrying when it comes to the damage charts, and Trymbi's just carrying with the healing, so all coming together. We've got this 1-3-1 setup coming through now, where Rogue are going to have both of their solo lanes on either side of the map. Their objective should be this top tier 1, you have to imagine, with the Baron spawning in 2 minutes.
And let's just take stock of the situation right now, because it's 5k gold lead, 2 dragons, a Herald in their back pocket. They have their eyes on BrokenBlade. He does have the dash. Oh, but Malrang's cutting his escape route off. And BrokenBlade doesn't know.
Does he dash over?
Right into the waiting arms of Malrang. There's the ulti, there's the damage. Gwen is immune to the Ornn, but not to the Trundle.
Malrang with the execute onto BrokenBlade. Rogue are just dismantling Caps. A Mejai's has even been picked up for Larssen. Rogue continue to push their advantage.
And it's so crucial. The question everyone had coming today, Larssen, is it just control mages? What else can he show us? The silence is solid, but it's not God tier. The LeBlanc today, he is showing up. 9 stacks in the book, ready to find more.
And they will get so much for this. Ping's already coming down mid-push in their favor. What we're going to see here is they're going to move towards the top side with their bot lane, pop the Herald and force it tier 2. And the only thing that the G2 can do to respond is push in mid. So I think Rogue will get a lot of towers here if they commit into this play, and G2 won't have enough to respond with. It's going to be a battle for the towers. Can G2 get this bot tier 2 in time? Can they get this mid tower? Does Odoamne TP in to help the defense?
Ooh, look at the damage from Larssen right now. 3-0-3. The Herald will secure another tower as Malmo erupts in excitement. Our expectations were that G2 would come in as the heavy favorites, but Rogue continue to silence the doubters. Of course, still a lot of this game left to be played. G2 have options, but right now, Rogue in a commanding position with the Dragon in a minute's time.
2.5 items on comp. Objective bounty set up now for G2. They are definitely on the back foot, and they're going to have to look for cross maps. You can see Jankos already on the top side. He needs to help BrokenBlade out and get this top tier 1. Eventually, they need to transition that top pressure from the top tier 1 falling into mid and get the mid tier 1 if they want to start contesting these neutrals, because they can't push waves out far enough. Larsen's going to find Jankos.
Oh, look at the damage! Another chain! Take your time! He goes back in. He's trying to find something else. Larssen forced the flash away. Jankos still standing, crucial for the side of G2. They get his ult, but that's about it.
The block is coming online. 3-0-3 now. Larssen with Magi's, like you highlighted. It's going to do a hell of a lot of damage, and that's a Jarvan with no magic resistance, and Caps is looking for some vision. This is where Rogue have all the vision. Do they decide to pounce?
Step forward. Pillar doesn't quite end up behind Targamas. They're going to back off the play. 26 seconds to Cloud. Cloud Soul, big for a lot of these ultimates. Big for the Ornn, the Trundle, the Callista.
Let's just keep stock of what's available right now. G2 have everything. All of their summoners, all of their ultis, except for Jankos'. He did just have to expend that while Larssen lost his flash. Rogue now moved down into the mid lane. Larssen not investing the teleport. Malrang gonna get another level up. Actually, their eyes are on this tower. Jankos does not know that he is sitting on a ward.
Waiting.
So they dive.
Has the flash, has the EQ. Malrang off to the side, zoning away. Here comes the Ornn. Gonna land it on the Flakked. There's no follow-up into the backline. They got the TP out, though, and they've had to burn very little. Odoamne not quite able to find the stun. BrokenBlade hovering around, fishing for a way into the backline, trying to get some damage down, but G2 giving up so much just to lose the tower in the end.
We got a glimpse of Rogue's teamfight execution. If you watched it carefully, Trymbi ran forwards as Ornn ulted first, silenced Flakked as the R2 came in. His shield bow procced. If Larssen was a bit closer, that was a kill. Jankos gonna spot out Larssen. Do they go for a Baron? I don't think they can. They have to look for this top tier 1 if they want to, but Odo has TP, so there's a world where he could TP behind them if there's a ward in this Baron pit. No, it's a blue orb, so there's no threat of a TP, but G2 are gonna back away.
And between the silence, the pillar, and the Ornn ult, if G2 are not the first ones to start the fight, it is so difficult for them to find priority targets, for them to protect their carries. Rogue just continuing to stack up advantages. Almost 7K in their favor. 3 Drakes on Soul Point. 5 minutes so they can look to find the Cloud Soul.
It's a Draven ult to get his Bloodthirster there. Just got a couple creeps for it. 131 stacks right now. Flakked doesn't have the most, and of course we know what happens when Draven falls behind and can't cash in on his stacks. He got the first kill earlier on, around 7 or 8 minutes into the game, but now it's all the comp show. 252 CS right now, 70 CS advantage in the bot lane.
Whew. Comp is fed, for lack of a better word. And now we kind of look at what Rogue is looking to do next, because they've secured a number of outer towers. They've even gotten themselves a tier 2. The Baron is on the board. With the Dragon in about 4 minutes time, they mainly want to look to start pushing their vision even deeper, start being able to control 2 lanes. You can see them pathing up towards top. They can send comp towards mid. They can have Larssen push out that top wave, and then they start getting this deeper vision towards the top side of the map. This then makes it harder for G2 to then threaten things like the Baron, but also it sets up Rogue for an opportunity to find picks. Their composition is very good at catching targets out and being able to very quickly kill them.
It's such a tense situation, you know, because if G2 make another big mistake, it's Baron for Rogue. Could very well be the end of the game. The siege potential that comes out from having this Ornn from this Trundle so hard for G2 to clear these waves comfortably. BrokenBlade fishing on the side lane. In the 1v1, he's still incredibly strong.
Is he?
Yeah, I thought so, but maybe not.
Yeah, I thought so too, but Odoamne is just that much stronger. 205 on the Ornn right now. 2 fully completed items. He's just going to brush off the scissors from BrokenBlade.
Someone who will be incredibly strong very soon, though, is Larssen. 2 needlessly large rods, 9 stacks right now. When he pushes that over to 10, gets the passive and then gets the Rabbit on death cap, he will one-shot anyone on G2 that's not BrokenBlade. So
oh, they're baiting this.
They're baiting a Baron, doing a little bit of acting, clearing out the vision. And let's not forget, Rogue Secure is very strong. They have a Callista, they have the Ren, they have the Smite. And G2, they have a lot of mobility to get into the pit, though. Need to be careful. Only 1 blue orb right now on G2, and it's Flakked. That's their only real face check, unless Jankos is willing to step up.
Rogue currently playing on 3 lanes. Odoamne hovering towards the bottom side. We'll see if he responds to that or takes that position in mid lane as Rogue continue to threaten the Baron. G2 doing their best to clear out vision for now. Jankos making it out to safety.
They don't have full information, Rogue, on where the rest of G2 is just yet, so they didn't want to overcommit to that. They're just going to force Jankos back. He's not going to be able to clear out any of his vision. As you can see, once again, G2 being forced further and further back. This vision from Rogue getting deeper and deeper. Thank you, observers, for highlighting the lack of insight that G2 do have. Now the question is the Baron being started? Of course, we know G2 yet to gain that information. They see it started, G2 know.
Went on the bottom side, TP not available yet. Odoamne in the area, willing to sack bot lane to be here for his team. The Ornn ult, well, you have to keep track of that pinch so incredibly deadly for G2. Ornn ult now coming in, he can throw it right into the pinch. He manages to knock off 2. Meanwhile, Jankos has been taken down. This is a fight, and they are obliterating G2 where they stand. The Baron remains fleet. Rogue remain with their eyes on the prize. Caps needs to make a miracle happen.
His ult tick's gone, that's it. He's got no more mobility left. This is a Soraka that's engaging on a Kalista ult. That's how far forwards that Rogue can start pushing his advantage. That's a Baron. BrokenBlade
down.
But it's gone, and Jankos trying to force his hand. He knew the Baron was ticking down. There has to be an engage.
Fate's Call Soraka is a combo I didn't know I won, but Comp and Trymbi have proven me it's something that I need to see more of. What a beautiful execution, and how aggressive they are with this bot lane as well. It doesn't matter if the Soraka gets engaged on. She becomes that much harder to kill because of that added safety of Comp. And with all of the mobility he has with the Martial Poise, G2 can do nothing to lock this bot lane down.
And Jankos just goes into his own death realm the second he decides to jump in. We'll have a look at this one again because he's just going to EQ in. He doesn't know the Baron HP, but he knows it's ticking down really quick, so he decides to just flash all 3 people. On paper, it looks great, but so much mobility. Comp's already out of it. The Draven ult only hits Malrang, and look at Trymbi here on the engage. Knock up into knock up. Odoamne and Trymbi, top and support, chain CC. Caps only has 1 tick left, and then the fight's over.
Of course, the damage dealers are integral, but it's really the supporting cast of Odoamne, Trymbi, and Malrang that are really setting all these plays up. Malrang with his incredible early games, Odoamne and Trymbi with the engages. Larssen now on the flank.
So is Caps.
Step in. Big damage! Oh man, that's a magic trick I've ever seen when the life bar just disappearing instantaneously.
Caps hovering, isn't spotted yet. Will get spotted now. Charm connects, not enough damage to look for a kill. The important question we had coming into this series is Rogue going to stick to their mage meta, their control mage meta? This is a game where Larssen has matched Caps on an assassin mid with LeBlanc, and it's working. This is so detrimental to the series in a game 1 because it shows a different style of Rogue that they can match if G2 decides to throw them any kind of curveballs, and they're not worried about anything other than the Sylas. And now it's BrokenBlade.
Adjustments are going to be big. BrokenBlade off on the top side of the map. TP now coming in. G2 fully committing to this exchange, but Odoamne is happy to hold the tower. He does not take magic damage with this force of nature.
But they've just committed a TP with the dragon spawning. That means that G2 are isolated on the top side of the map. But hang on, there's a TP flank. They're going off the Flakked.
TP. They smell blood in the water. They want to end this one. Larssen hunting for Flakked. He sees Jankos, he sees Targamas. Lock up chains. Jankos burning his stopwatch. Last defensive cooldown. Silence is there. They're moving away, but the soul has gone down in the meantime. Rogue just keep coming out on top.
Caps cancelled Odoamne's TP there. It could have been a hell of a lot worse for G2 if both the solo laners had arrived. Maybe they could have picked up a kill. Larssen just trying to stop bases now. So they get the soul. That's what they wanted in the first place, but the double TP flank doesn't work out. G2, can they hold on? 38 seconds left of this Baron buff.
G2, they want to reset. They want to have an opportunity to spend some of the gold that they do have, but Rogue, they're not giving them a window. Good charm from Caps.
Well, back to the handshake with a poke. The damage on the Targamas is massive. Flashing out to safety so early. Just that cannon minion trying to keep the siege going. Caps clearing what he can. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Odoamne pushing another wave forward once there's 2 lanes of pressure. But no, instead, Odoamne dropping the wave, coming down, using the Ornn ult, looking to hit as many people as he can. That's the 2-man knockup, fishing for the ball. But Rogue, they're so disciplined, they back off. They force for the tower instead. And here comes the Soraka, baby. The frontliner Rogue we're looking for. But they're locked. They're locked in the Cataclysm, and it does not matter. Rogue aiming for the throat, aiming for the head. They want to end this game. For now, they'll settle for the inhibitor. G2 holding on for now. Rogue debating if they can fish for another option, if they can move now back to the mid lane with all their cooldowns down. Cloud Soul going to make sure that all those ultis are back up so incredibly quickly, and Larssen just continuing to fish.
The hostile takeover doing work there to disengage from G2 for the initial part of the dive, but it's when Trymbi engaged on the Soraka that you know G2 have to look for something. They can't get the Soraka down. The Soraka heal so big with the ultimate. Rogue get what they came for, and we're going to take a look at that one again.
So let's have a look at this. Odoamne with the engage, and then the silence immediately. Caedrel talked about it earlier, but look how much more awkward this is for BrokenBlade. Immediately forced to disengage, and then once again, this time though, the Trymbi combo being used as an engage tool gets the 2-man knockup. A really good Cataclysm from Jankos buys a lot of time, and with the tower not falling, it kind of stops Rogue from over-committing to the engage. Jankos sacrificing his life to give G2 another chance in this game.
Holding on for dear life now, G2. First game of this finals. Best of 5, it's Rogue who are coming out on top, almost a 10,000 gold lead. They're going to start pushing down top right now, 1 minute 50 seconds on that Baron. They'll start that up the second it spawns and look to turn if G2 want to contest. What can G2 do in response? There's inhibitor waves coming in bot. They can't split push for this tier 2. Odo doesn't have TP, but they can play 4-1 on top and mid, so he's very close, and he can just push these mid waves and then threaten another Ornn ult with the Soraka silence.
And while the G2 fans remain stalwart, Rogue continue to find advantage after advantage in this game. Tower breaking in the mid lane, second inhibitor in the eyes of Rogue. So hard for G2 to play this game out. So hard for Flakked or BrokenBlade to find space. So hard for Jankos to even walk forward in the face of Larssen on this LeBlanc. 305, 13 stacks, 13 pages in the book. And they're looking for a bit more. Odoamne unstoppable. The handshake will not find purchase. Generating a bit more space with the pillar. Rogue taking their time. They are not going to overcommit to a fight. They're not going to risk giving this away. A minute to Baron. They know what they need to do to win. Looking for 3 inhibitors into the Baron. Looking for a clean closeout in game 1.
G2 aren't even fighting this inhibitor. That's going to be so many super minions pouring into the base. It's going to be so hard for them to contest the Baron when it spawns. Rogue just have to keep them in their base till it spawns, or even try to poke them down to get these towers and wait for the creeps to arrive.
I think Rogue is overstaying their welcome now. And just as I say that, they're choosing to disengage. Their waves are a little bit awkward. They don't have the super minions on a number of waves just yet. Oh, and Larssen just toying with his food right there. Damage continues to come out, but Rogue, they're committed. Oh, the flash from Jankos!
Jankos now on the way out, trying to get over the baseball, but he just gets taken down. Hostile takeover, not nearly hostile enough. Malrang now moving into cap zoning away completely, and it's Tahm to take over the fight. Tahm to kill every single remaining member of G2 Esports. It is a triple for the Kalista. It is Malrang finding caps on the side. Make it a quadra, baby! Rogue are not here to be shut down. They do not care about favorites in game 1. Rogue are
Pings are coming down. They want to give it the penta.
Tahm, it's the finals, and baby, we're in Sweden. Give it to Tahm. It's a pentakill. It's game 1.
The arena erupts as Comp secures himself another pentakill. Rogue will silence the doubters, and they will come in strong in game 1. This will not be a repeat of last week. Rogue is looking to go toe-to-toe with the reigning champions here in the LEC final.
For so long, Rogue felt like a foregone conclusion, an inevitable second, a third, a fourth maybe, but here in the finals, they're finally showing up. Can they keep the momentum going? Will they be an inevitable force? Will this finally be their title? A long road remains in front of them. A single win, not enough. G2, a ferocious competitor. They're going to need to adapt to the games to come, however, because Rogue clearly prepared in the first game.
A lot of emotions for Rogue there. You can see that it means a lot to them to get that first game. You saw Trymbi shouting and screaming in the game as it was progressing, but they've still got 2 more to go. They need to stay very level-headed and calm because G2 are going to change up their entire strategy. 2 things you have to think of. Jarvan first pick, is it really worth it now that they've shown LeBlanc? Second thing, do we want red side as G2? This third pick, Ornn, and banning 2 tops is hurting them a lot.
The thing that all I can think of is the Soraka. What is your answer to this Soraka? Because it just seems to be defining our finals weekend here in Alma.
Beat G2. Ruined solo queue in the same game. How did he do it? It's incredible. Excellent start for Rogue. Let's see what the desk has to say about that game 1.
Where has this Rogue been all our lives? Unbelievable start. Unbelievable first game versus G2. When, let's be honest, up against it, when it was in our pre-game discussions, chatter online, fans, teams alike, looked like G2 was the sky-high favorite. So the fact that Rogue can get a win in this way in the first game, it is incredible.
It feels like Rogue is a completely different team right now coming into the final week, and they've probably been thinking that they have nothing to lose, and now they're looking so confident, they're so aggressive, and the fact that they not only beat G2, but doing it in this fashion, that is really impressive.
It's all the way they're doing it. It's the way they're playing the game. It's how aggressive they are. It's how willing they are to commit to plays. And even like, if you're Rogue, like last year, and this happened, right? They would have not gone for that pentakill. They would have said, no, guys, let's end the game. We're finally getting it done. This time around, the fact that they try to fountain dive to get that pentakill, to get the mental advantage, how crazy is that? Beautiful.
And I think that we're very excited just because of the way it went with the combos and such, right? Of course, we got to slow down because there's 5 games in a series, Rekkles. So start breaking it down for me in terms of the draft. As we said already, some new strategies coming out.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing you have in this draft is Larssen going over to the LeBlanc instead of staying on the mages. I think the second you see Jarvan, Draven, Ahri, it is the right call to go away from the mages, but the fact that he's willing to do that, perform this well on the LeBlanc, is telling me that today's series is going to be pretty close.
It feels like just like yesterday, Rogue knew exactly what was coming, and they were 1 step ahead of Fnatic at every single phase of this, draft, starting with the Jarvan first pick, picking Trundle into it, getting a good jungle matchup. They knew if they picked Kalista, the response is going to be Draven. They have the LeBlanc already. They have the Kalista Soraka combo, which is pretty, you know, different, strange, not something we're used to seeing with the Kalista, but it works so well.
I love your excited giggle about it. It's so
I mean,
different.
it is amazing as well, just due to the fact that Rogue are kind of changing what we're used to seeing them. They're not handshaking a control mage matchup. They're actually looking for something different, and I think G2 even knows this. You can see, despite Larssen not having played a single game of Akali this season, it's still getting banned, which could be Scrim Result or anything else. So I think Rogue, with what they had, they're completely happy with how things unfolded, and they don't really need to change anything.
Yeah, and I think the way they use red side as well was really interesting, because normally you would maybe see the mid or top lane last pick, but in this case they actually wait with the support, they get the Soraka counter pick, and to me this was actually the biggest portion of the early game that made the difference for Rogue. You saw Targamas finish the support item at 15 minutes in this game. That is way later than normally. And that came from Trymbi, Soraka, and them having so much pressure in the bot lane.
It's crazy. The pressure also coming from the mid lane. Larssen had a fantastic early game. It started even before he got help, let's say, right? He did have control of the game. And I feel like in terms of the game and the picks and bans that we may see throughout the series, that is such a big wild card to throw in there, because G2 also definitely believes that they would be up against a certain set of control mages this series.
Yeah, and I think especially this play as well is really interesting to see how fast they are with creating this mid advantage and then moving it into the bot lane, getting the first Drake, contesting the second Drake. It just seemed like already from the start of the game, they were ready to contest everything. And that's something we saw in yesterday's series as well, towards the end, where they kept contesting stuff. And I think that is the right approach against a team like G2.
And I think you can be a fan of any of these mid laners, but I'm just going to lay out the fact for you. Larssen, he gapped Caps in lane here. And the way he played that LeBlanc was phenomenal. That was one of the best laning phases I've seen from Larssen ever. And he brings it out in the final.
In game one, wonderful. I want to take a look in a second at that Drake fight. There was so much to break down. It goes heavily in the favor of Rogue. And this is, I think, where G2 really understood, oh, this is how this comp is supposed to work.
Yeah, definitely. So right here we see G2 starting up the Drake. Both AD carries are walking out in mid lane, coming from base. But Rogue, they're so confident. And you see it right here. Trymbi makes it completely unplayable for Caps. He dies with everything up, doesn't get a chance to even play the game. Rogue, you know, they're just too strong. And slowly, even here when the fight is losing, Trymbi walks the comp, he's safe, he goes in, jumps back to safety, and there's just nothing G2 can do. Rogue is always one step ahead.
Kalista ult knock up into Ornn, ult knock up into the silence. It's...
Kill them all! Kill them all, the Rogue! Ah! Go!
Oh, amazing.
It is very exciting, as you can see from Trymbi.
Wow, that's crazy.
If any of you have ever spoken to Trymbi, you will know that he's the most innocent, soft-spoken person you'll ever come across. So to see him in this kind of environment and break out like that, shake his whole body up, that is unreal scenes to me, and I can't help but smile when I see it.
It's crazy. I mean, also for the team, right? When you get it and you come in with these plans and you know this is how our comp is supposed to work, right? But we're up versus G2, so let's see. No, they're all going for it, and it works out. I feel a tide shifting just a little bit, but as said already, Broxah, it's a whole best of 5. G2 has been behind before.
You never know what's going to happen in the best of 5, and sure, yesterday we saw it actually, where Fnatic looked so dominant in game 1, but then already from game 2 onwards, Rogue took complete control, and now G2 has a chance to, you know, come in with something different. We know that they're versatile, they are very flexible in draft and what they can do. They can pick side, and then they can really do whatever they want and try to catch Rogue off guard.
Yeah, I think the way you react to the loss now is really important. Yesterday's series, I think Fnatic didn't react so well after game 2. They went back to the red side and just ran back kind of what didn't work for them in game 2. Now G2 has the chance to actually shift things up here. I don't think you go blue, actually. I think you go red. You make sure you get the counter pick on the support role specifically so that Trymbi cannot play something like Soraka.
In a second, we're going to find out. I would like to show the pentakill just one more time. They were really hunting for it. This is Comp's 3rd pentakill of the season. 2 Sivir, 1 Kalista. He's the 2nd player to get a pentakill in an LEC final after yours truly. Rekkles, it must
we're in
be...
Sweden.
And we're in Sweden, although he's Greek. But Martin, it's just a great feeling, I'm sure.
Yeah, even yesterday when we were doing the PGL, he was talking about it, so it's great to see that they actually get to pull it off here in the finals.
And I actually think going into the pick and ban phase, this is the Kalista you might be worried about.
G2 chose blue.
G2 chose blue. So I think so G2 decided to ban the Lucian and Seri, and then they had, I do believe, I can't remember the last, whenever it is, the Seri was the random one to me. The Poppy, exactly. Those are the two locked ones. Seri to me is the one you can change out. I think you can let him have that scaling happily, but you had the Draven into the Kalista. You denied the Kalista Renata lane, and it did not work. I think for G2 that shows that they cannot play into the Kalista now with the bot lane, and they need to change things up.
And it's a difficult decision for G2 to make though, because if they only drop the Siri ban, how are they gonna approach it? Because there's a chance Rogue are gonna 1-2-3 Soraka at this point, there's a chance they take Kalista, even Ornn was pretty huge. The comp was just so well rounded, and you cannot target everything, you have to gamble one way or another.
It's crazy, you have to gamble in a series like this. Do you feel like Rogue gambled, or were they sure that this would
I think
work?
they went for just us, like they went for the Rogue style. I think they were pretty happy with this draft, and I feel like for G2, maybe they should have been as well, but really, to me, the support was a problem in this one, and I'm not sure how you solve that on the blue side, because Rogue is going to last pick support again. You're most likely not having space for the Ornn ban, so I think, for the most part, the draft's going to look the same. Maybe the Kalista ban comes in, but even then, you still have the Ornn first 3, you still have the last pick support. It's going to be hard to avoid that bot lane matchup.
And I think in the sense that you call it a role style, you'll have to take it back to the old school Rogue back when they had Inspired, where it was win the lanes and win the game. You had 3 winning lanes, and that's how you're playing for it, because that's what it felt like this time around. Top lane almost solo killed. Mid lane, Larssen was having the best performance there, and in the bot lane, the Kalista was pushing in. So I think this Rogue, they all came to play from all fronts, all cylinders.
Absolutely did, and maybe first and foremost, Larssen with an incredible first game in front of everyone he holds dear, and just about 11,000 fans in front of his home crowd. What a fantastic start for Rogue, but of course we can never count G2 out. See you for Game 2 after this.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.